My first, and so far only stop in Louisiana, back in 2022. And in chasing after malls, I wanted to make this stop a good one. And well, it doesn't get much better than Pecanland Mall. As it starts winding up, let's have a look around. And if you're patient, we might see the fountains here active. According to the News Star, Pecanland Mall, the largest mall in northern Louisiana, was set to open in July 24, 1985. After years of discussions, negotiations, and different developers, Buddy Herring would acquire the developer Paul Broadhead and Associates and change the name to the Herring Group. 1984 would finally see construction underway with an original Dillard's, JCPenney, and a McRae's, along with room for a fourth anchor. Mervyn's, as well as a 10-screen cinema, would also be established by the shiny new food court as junior anchors, with Beall-Ladymon set up as a third near McRae's. Only 71% of the mall was leased at the time, but the crowds were expected to be big on opening day, and by 1986, the News Star would release a directory on the mall titled 100 Terrific Reasons to Shop Pecanland Mall. And just to name a few of those reasons, you could shop at places like Claire's, Brooks, Foxmore, B. Dalton, Walden Books, Eckerd Drugs, or Electronic Boutique, and when you got hungry, you could eat at McDonald's, Morrison's, Famous Ramos Hot Dogs, or get a lighter snack at the Peanut Shack. The News Star would outline the 1985 grand opening as one big party, complete with big pies and big stars. The ceremony would divide the mall into 5 different parts decorated to represent North and Central America, complete with the merchants setting up appropriately themed displays, fashions, and demonstrations. Events would also include the preparation of a 12-foot diameter pecan pie, the largest in the world at the time, a traditional ribbon-cutting ceremony in the center court, fashion shows, crawfish races, and even a magic show. There was just too much to name. And as time marched on, you could grab gift certificates that were valid at most stores within the Pecanland Mall. The mall even poached Sears for its own, though despite combing the papers, I was unable to find an official opening date. Upon its original opening, Pecanland Mall was rather out of the way of Monroe proper, sitting miles outside of the city, but it was served well by an interchange as well as a dedicated flyover ramp for eastbound traffic on Interstate 20. But as the 90s came and went and the 2000s marched on, the mall would have been the beginning of a major retail corridor that would sprawl westward, and Pecanland Mall would remain viable throughout its years, despite some anchor changes that we'll get to in a moment. General Growth Properties would get a hold of the mall in 2002 for the low price of $72 million, and would wind up committing to a small renovation in the food court. As for the anchors around the mall, Mervyn's would end up closing in January 2006 as the company fell on hard times, and would eventually go under in 2009. The store space would get filled in by Burlington Coat Factory in 2007. Meanwhile, McRae's would finally get turned into a Belk store. As the 2010s came in, Pecanland Mall would officially gain a Dick's Sporting Goods in 2012, bringing in additional retail space to the mall. And just a year earlier, Steinmart would come in to fill in the empty space that was once upon a time Beall-Ladymon. Sometime over the 2010s, GGP would let go of the mall with Spinoso Real Estate Group taking over ownership. I can't find any specifics on when this happened, and apparently, not even AI can tell me. And between then and now, things would be a little more mixed as Burlington would close sometime in 2018, with Sears also closing in September that year. It wasn't all bad, however, as Tilt Studio would come in to replace Burlington in 2019, and it's reported that Tilt used to be in the food court of the mall a long time ago, signaling this more as a return. The most recent major closure, though, would come in the form of Steinmart as the company filed for bankruptcy in August 2020 and would end up liquidating all stores over the end of 2020. And here I was in 2022. Now, it was the mall walker, so things are going to look a bit worse than what they might actually be. But what I do see is a live mall that might have some problems, but is still winding up for business as usual. And while it doesn't look much different from opening day, it is one of the more striking malls I have seen. The 80s still live on. However, it seems that since my visit, things are beginning to deteriorate as large names like H&M have closed. Monroe itself is also having problems, which just puts this mall's future further into a precarious state. It's still in decent condition now, but that could change in a few years, and this mall might be worth keeping an eye on. Did you think I'd leave without waiting to see if they'd turn the fountains on? If there's one thing I wanted to see at the end, it was that. Regardless of the problems that this mall may have, it's gotta be one of my favorite malls from an architectural or aesthetic standpoint. Between the high vaulted ceilings, complete with that metal paneling throughout, the planters full of green, the wide open courts that make you feel small, and even the fountains. If it had just a bit more color here and there, this mall could easily be top 10 material for me. Unfortunately, it is time to go. But Pecanland Mall, even with the problems it does have, was a nice ray of light to an otherwise wet and dreary day in Louisiana. What did you think of the Pecanland Mall? Have you got any fond memories of this place? Do share in the comments below. Until next time, Louisiana, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Pecanland Mall farewell and good luck in the future. Monroe housewife loses control at local store's grand opening. A real headline from 1988.